For real, for real. I just want them to sign that paper and make this fight happen. You know, I'm ready. Like I said, I'm ready to shut out.
Jaron Ennis says he's fully prepared to face Vergil Ortiz Jr. anywhere and urges Ortiz's side to put the contract in writing so he can quiet the doubters and show he's the top fighter in the world. Vergil Ortiz Jr. fires back with calm confidence, making it known that he has already...
We'll see. You know, I've already said yes. I mean, that's all I can do, right? So we'll see. We'll see. It's really not up to me, I guess.
The heat rises even more when Ortiz posts a cold, dismissive message on social media aimed right at his opponent. He wrote, "Yay, I'm sleeping, Jaron." By sounding completely unfazed, he delivers a harsh signal that Ennis is barely on his mind at the moment. Turning his attention toward the critics, Ortiz also takes aim at the politics surrounding the sport by questioning the recent fights being made in the division. He firmly says true respect has to be won in the ring, brushing aside the value of carefully selected opponents and titles that exist only on paper.
People are gonna watch the fights, right? People are watching the fights. You can put a title on. They could have put a title on that last fight that Jaron had against I'm not sure. I don't want to disrespect him. I don't know his name, but they could have did that and said he was a champion. You know, They also did that with Zayas.
Lima, yeah.
You know, so it's just like. There's no credibility behind.
With the hostility continuing to build, Ortiz leans fully into the rivalry and vows to do everything necessary to win. He openly accepts being cast as the villain in the story, showing he is completely ready to go through
that at all. You know, I don't like it at all because this is my story. In my point of view, it's my story. You know, in his point of view, it's his story, but I don't mind playing the villain if I need to in someone else's story because I know I'm a good person. I don't care about that. But I do understand what you're saying. You know, that makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. I haven't thought about it like that before, but yeah, I didn't like that.
Even the champion's trainer, Robert Garcia, gets pulled directly into the center of this growing feud and adds more fuel to the fire. He insists his fighter carries the kind of dangerous punching power that simply cannot be held back once the fight begins. And if the right moment appears, he believes it will end in a violent and conclusive stoppage that removes every possible doubt.
100% agree with Vergil. I think if Vergil is able to, you know, fight Boots and we were able to get those punches, I think it's over. I think Vergil is not going to hold back. Vergil has great, insane power at 154. So I think Vergil will finish.
Going further into the argument, veteran trainer Robert Garcia makes a pointed assessment of the challenger's place in the sport right now. He raises doubts about whether a fighter who looks vulnerable when the pressure rises truly belongs among boxing's pound-for-pound elite. From his perspective, real greatness is built on complete control, not merely escaping by the narrowest margin.
Look, I think you know, I guess it depends on who you ask. Pound for pound for me is a fighter that shows great skills, obviously, against the opponents that they're beating and the way they're beating them. You know, fighters that are in pound for pound list, you got to show that you belong there. You got to defend that position too. So I like you know, I think Boots is getting his way there, but I think this fight was more about fight of the year type of fight, not pound for pound. You know, to be able to beat pound for pound, he should have dominated without getting hurt. No, he got hurt and came back, which is also one thing that fighters do. A pound for pound fighter could get dropped, but if he comes back and knocks his opponent out the way Boots did, then that is, you know, he's cutting his way up there. So top 10, he could.
Shutting down any talk of fear or delay, Robert Garcia completely dismisses the idea that his camp needs a tune-up fight before taking on a major challenge. Instead, he flips the pressure onto the other side, suggesting they are the ones searching for a way out and trying to buy extra time. The statement leaves no room for doubt, as they make it clear they want the biggest fight available and are not hesitating for a second.
No problem. We would do it. Look, I know Eddie mentioned something about maybe Vergil needs or is going to want a comeback fight. No, that's not the case. Maybe that's what he wants for Boots. Maybe that's why he's trying to push that on us to try to get Boots something else before that. But no, we'll go straight into that fight.
Boxing analyst Sergio Mora joins the conversation to explain just how dangerous this matchup could become once both fighters step into the ring. The former champion points out that each man carries serious defensive risks because they are always chasing the knockout. That kind of style creates an incredibly volatile fight, where both fighters are almost certain to be hit clean at some point.
Ortiz gets hit too. He gets rocked. He gets controversially knocked down as well. He would deny it, but the truth is there. We could see, we have eyes. Boots is the same way. This is the type of fight with Boots and Ortiz, when it happens, one of the biggest fights in boxing against two power punchers that are susceptibly defensively because they're so front foot. They go for the knockout. When you have knockout punchers, you're bound to get touched. The difference is Boots rolls with the shots. He takes a little bit of the steam off the shots. He knows how to use his long frame.
Sergio Mora's breakdown becomes even darker as he explains what can happen once the fight turns into total chaos. He notes that one of the fighters is known to change completely the moment he gets hurt or knocked down, becoming a far more dangerous version of himself. That wild toughness and unpredictability make this matchup feel like a true 50-50 battle where someone is likely going to get knocked out.
Joe, on the other hand, he'll get up after getting dropped, shake his head, and put it in another gear, in a meaner gear. That can work against a mean fighter like Vergil and run into shots, especially if you're buzzed. So when it does happen, hold on. It's going to be explosive. Someone's going to get knocked out. And I always pick a side, right, Mannix? I always say, oh, well, this guy's going to be the favorite. That's a legitimate.
Taking aim at the familiar behind-the-scenes tactics, Sergio Mora says the time for talking needs to end and the contract finally needs to be signed. He admits that even though both camps insist they want the fight, the business side of boxing can always become the biggest obstacle. That leaves fans questioning whether money and politics will ruin what should be an unforgettable showdown.
Much as Vergil's been talking, absolutely, sign the contract. As much as his promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, has been talking about that fight, make the fight happen. But we all know boxing, we all know the business, we all know that we want to squeeze in one more.
Sergio Mora pushes the stakes as high as they can go as the conversation turns to everything riding on this fight for both careers, with world titles and enormous money on the line. At that point, there is no real reason left for the promoters to back away from making it happen. Everything is in place for a huge unification bout that has the potential to define an entire generation.
Take the bird in the hand.
These guys are on the cusp of making a lot of money in one of the biggest fights of the year, and it'll be a unification. So the belts are on the line. So then look, if the stars aligned and the promoters really want to make this fight happen, and everyone involved from the managers, then make the fight happen. The money's there. And it will be one of the biggest fights in.
Removing the usual excuses that often stop major fights from happening, Sergio Mora points out that the perfect venue and the money needed to make it happen are already in place. With Las Vegas ready for a huge event and hardcore boxing fans demanding this war, the spotlight now falls completely on the fighters. At this stage, there is nothing left for either side to hide behind.
Normally it's the money that holds things up. Second, it's the location. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Vegas.
That's a West Coast fight.
Vegas.
I know, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a West Coast fight. Las Vegas, 100%. You'll get the money, and you get the attention, you get the hardcore, rabid fans. So what's the problem now? The money's taken care of. The location's taken care of. We have enough time. I agree with you.
Well-known boxing media figure Chris Mannix gives his thoughts on the frightening attacking skills both fighters possess. He explains that while one man carries the type of knockout power that can end a fight with a single punch, the other has recently shown he can overwhelm top-level opponents with non-stop pressure. The main question becomes who will be able to withstand the other fighter's strongest attack.
Vergil's the one saying all this, and I understand why he's doing it. He's saying, I'd sleep Boots. Well, yeah, Boots probably can't take those kind of clean shots from Vergil Ortiz, but at the same time, can Vergil take the kind of punches that Boots was throwing at Xander? Xander took some huge shots. Boots is a tremendous offensive fighter. I thought it was an A-level performance.
Boxing insider Chris Mannix points out that the entire sport is now calling for this exact matchup to happen. Promoters, trainers, and the fighters involved are all sending the same message and pushing for the showdown. The excitement has grown into an unstoppable wave, with the boxing world now waiting anxiously for the official confirmation.
Days that followed that fight, we have heard from Oscar De La Hoya calling for Boots versus Vergil next. We have heard from Vergil calling for Boots against Vergil next. We have heard from Rick Meridian calling for Boots against Vergil next. Pretty much everybody that's in the orbit of Vergil Ortiz, including Vergil Ortiz, Robert Garcia, add him to that mix. The trainer of Vergil says, let's make that fight next. Everybody on Vergil's side seems...
Rejecting any concerns about inactivity affecting the performance, Chris Mannix says one fighter has remained extremely focused, active, and dangerous during training. He argues that waiting any longer makes no sense and calls for the fight to happen in the fall before the opportunity disappears. According to him, fans have no desire to watch either fighter take a pointless tune-up bout instead.
I don't like this whole argument that Vergil's been off for a while. He fought in November, man. That was 7 months ago now. Like, he has not been off for a long time. And if you believe Robert Garcia, he's been in the gym. He's not sitting on his couch eating Cheetos and getting fat. Like, he is sharp and ready to go. I see no reason to believe. You know, like, Boots needs a little bit of time off. That was a tough fight. But late October, early November, let's go. What are we waiting for? I don't want to see Vergil against... I don't even know. Who do you put him in with at 154 pounds that matters?
Chris Mannix shifts the focus to the business side of the matchup, questioning what could still be preventing the agreement when the basic financial terms were reportedly addressed months earlier. Any current hesitation appears to be centered around negotiating percentages rather than making the fight happen. The concern remains that boxing politics could derail a showdown that already seems ready to be made.
Boots against Vergil back in March. Why wouldn't you be ready to make it right now? Like, you know what the money's going to be. You know how much it's going to cost. Now, maybe you've got to goose Boots a little bit, change the percentage a little bit, because Boots is now the unified champion. Boots is now coming off a big win like he had. But you know what the financials are. It took months, but Rick Meridian and Eric Gomez and Oscar De La Hoya seem to be on the same page on the pay scale of Vergil Ortiz. I don't want to see something weird happen.
Well, normally it's the money that...
Highly respected strategist coach Breadman analyzes the difficult style matchup awaiting the favored fighter. He explains that quick, compact combinations fired from close range could completely interrupt the timing and flow of a taller opponent. If the champion leaves openings while preparing his power shots, he could face a serious and costly punishment.
Stylistically, to me, the hardest fight for Boots is Vergil Ortiz. That's my honest opinion. Vergil Ortiz, Boots got them long, kind of like gangly arms, right? And sometimes he load up a little bit, and Vergil Ortiz punch short and compact, right in the mid-range on the inside, right where Boots like it. And in exchanges, Vergil Ortiz, I don't think he's as fast as Boots for like combinations of punches, but I do think that if Boots is throwing single shots, that Vergil's short, compact punches can...
Veteran trainer Breadman delivers a serious warning about the risky mistakes that could become disastrous in a fight of this magnitude. He explains that any moments of showboating or dropping the guard could be punished immediately by a fighter who keeps attacking relentlessly from close range. The champion will need a near-perfect showing, or he could find himself trapped and taking heavy damage in the exchange.
Dude, Vergil don't play like Boots play. Boots sometimes put his hands down, he lean back, he do all kinds of stuff.
Roll the shots.
Yeah, Boots does a lot of stuff where Vergil kind of just stays in one place and just fires right from where he's at. So in my opinion, I still think Boots can beat Vergil, but I do look at that fight and say Boots got to really be on his A game. He cannot be doing all of that kind of stuff where that boy's just firing right from the point of attack. Right there in the mid-range, firing them shortly.
Malik Scott firmly believes that Jaron "Boots" Ennis is an extraordinary talent unlike anything seen before, with the ability to break down the very best fighters in the sport. He is convinced that Boots possesses such a high level of skill and ability that even a top contender like Vergil Ortiz Jr. could end up looking...
I really believe that Boots have the ability to have the Roy Jones, Montel Griffin 2 type of performances, not just against guys of that quality, but even against guys of higher quality.
Although comparisons to the legendary Roy Jones Jr. are often viewed as exaggerated, Malik Scott and Max Kellerman debate whether this matchup could truly display that same level of unforgettable dominance. The massive attention around the fight depends on Boots producing a near-perfect performance that completely overwhelms
Roy Jones' potential, but I think Roy Jones at his best was the best I've ever seen.
That potential what Roy did to Montel in that second fight. Talk about performance.
Could do that to Vergil Ortiz?
I think guys that's great and good. That's all I'm saying, Max. Guys that's good. I don't think he could do that just to guys at that level. I think there's fighters out there that's considered almost great, above good, that Boots can do that.
Former opponent Sergei Bohachuk, who has experienced the power directly, comes forward with a serious warning about what it feels like to share the ring with him. He admits that he once underestimated the challenger, but quickly learned how physically strong and dangerous he truly is during the fight. His message makes it clear that anyone stepping in against this fighter could be facing the hardest challenge of their career.
For me, I can say, because one time I make mistake, you know. I'm thinking before fight Vergil with Madrimov, I think Madrimov beat Ortiz. No, no, Ortiz beat Madrimov and maybe 9-10 rounds. I think maybe Ortiz knocking out him, really. And Ortiz not easy. He can make big problem, Ennis, really. He's not easy. He's strong boxer, really.
Looking back at the aftermath of their intense battle, Bohachuk explains that a brutal fight can either destroy a fighter or push him to reach a frightening new level. He believes the challenger absorbed every lesson from their war, corrected his weaknesses, and transformed into a much more dangerous version of himself. The fighter coming back now, according to him, is better and stronger than ever.
I think he out of fight with me, he's stay better. Boxing it's interesting sport. Every fight, every good fight, every good sparring, quality fight, you up. When you have fight with the backs, you don't have nothing. You go down. When you have good fight, from my secret, this is I everything. One fight, one sparring, one with the best. With the best, you up. And after fight with me, Vergil, he have very strong fight for him, really. After this fight, you broke or you up. You have two choices, I can broke him or he is... Яка зробив помилку, роботу над помилками. Yes, football and mistakes and up. Vergil make this and up, really up. He's better.
Former unified champion Errol Spence gives his full backing to the massive showdown, admitting that the matchup is nearly impossible to predict. He emphasizes how special it is to witness two undefeated young fighters putting everything on the line while they are still at the height of their careers. Regardless of the outcome, he believes fans are set to witness a memorable boxing classic.
Some boots. I don't know. It can go either way. They're both exciting, and for them to fight at this younger age, it'll be a great fight.
Abdullah Mason provides first-hand details from their closed-door sparring sessions and offers a detailed breakdown of the styles involved. He explains that this highly anticipated matchup will come down to a dangerous clash between explosive knockout power and exceptional defensive ability. In a fight this competitive, even the smallest mistake could completely change the outcome.
I've been in camp with Shakur and Haney. Well, I've been in camp with Shakur. I sparred Haney once. Everybody, boxing determined that. Shakur, everybody knows he's the most technical. Devontae got power. Devin Haney can box. So it just depends who does the best job, who does what they're good at, against their opponent.
Trainer Abel Sanchez voices his frustration over the ongoing public back and forth between both sides. He warns that the constant delays are slowly reducing fan excitement for a matchup that may not even come together. He also explains that while Jaron "Boots" Ennis has other opportunities to showcase his abilities, his current record of opponents still falls short compared to the elite names in boxing.
That fight, I think, is once it gets made, I know that the more that you germinate, I guess, a particular matchup, I think that's become old for people. I think that's the BS behind it and all the stuff that's going on. It may not be as exciting and as looked forward to as people think. And it may not happen. The way that it's going right now with Oscar and Vergil and all that. Boots has got other things that he can do that will give him the recognition that he's a good fighter too. But I don't think that his resume is as good as some of the other guys we're talking about. But I think that it's getting old, man. The fighting, the bickering, and all that BS is getting old for me.
With both teams continuing to exchange heated words and the entire boxing community calling for the fight, the excitement surrounding Jaron "Boots" Ennis versus Vergil Ortiz Jr. has reached its highest point yet. From a stylistic perspective, this matchup looks like a true 50-50 battle filled with non-stop action, putting all the pressure on the promoters to make it happen. The only question remaining is whether business issues will stop this generation-defining unification fight or if the contract will finally be signed. Share your prediction in the comments below. Who walks out of the ring as the undisputed ruler of the division, And could this fight end with a devastating knockout?